Yeah, this is Paul. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting here waiting to get my constitutional rights. I looked online and I didn't get any emails. It's 4th of July. It's been more than 6 years since my sons were abducted. I'm asking myself what could possibly cause law enforcement to not enforce the laws of the United States. You know, I had documented that my right to due process has been violated since, well, July 8th of 2011 when they issued the first temporary protection order. And I would have thought that I would have gotten an email that would have given me the contact information for my son so that I could be with my family today. But as so often happens, those that are sworn oaths of office thought that they don't have to actually do what they have sworn. Those that have badges on don't have to enforce the laws of the United States. It's as if law enforcement thinks that they just don't have to do what the law requires. Now, when I've documented and emailed hundreds of thousands of emails to those that are legally liable for the enforcement of the law, and I'm sitting here on the street of 4th of July in 2017, and I'm asking myself, well, why didn't I get an email this morning? Is there any possible reason why law enforcement would not enforce the laws of the United States? Good morning. I'm really starting to wonder what reason would you have for not enforcing the Constitution of the United States? Now, there are those that say, well, they don't actually know that law enforcement hasn't enforced the laws. They would be those that live outside of Clallam County. The state of Washington has no idea that they're the plaintiff in the without prejudice dismissal of a case. I'm considering, well, what do you do to those that are elected or appointed to office that won't do what the power of their office gives them to do? Now, every elected and appointed oath of office has a certain jurisdiction of their office, and they have the power of that office for the specific purposes of supporting and defending the Constitution without mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and not having any allegiance to any other form of government. And as I documented last night, the definition of power is jurisdiction. Now, I went through that protection order just momentarily, and it seemed like somebody was using power over myself as a named party in a protection order without having the legal right to exercise any power. Someone has been using power that they don't have the legal right to use. Now, I can inform law enforcement that there's an abuse of power. I can inform law enforcement that my sons are missing and abducted. I can inform law enforcement that they have the legal obligation for the enforcement of the law. But they decide they're going to abuse their power and not do what the law says. Then they start to ask themselves, well, why is it that I'm getting sued for everything that I own? Why is it that I'm going to prison? They would say that no one's going to enforce the laws of the United States. It's not like the National Guard's just going to show up in a sheriff's department or a police department and say, well, you've been informed that there's a crime and you refused to enforce the laws of the United States. Now, I know there are a lot of those that are on, well, their own special way of managing their counties or their states. There should be some governors. In fact, there could be some governors. There might be some governors, and maybe not should be, but there could be some governors throughout the United States that find out that if they have been reading the emails or watching the videos, they get to go to prison. Now, you're elected to office. You've sworn that you would support the state constitution and the United States Constitution. You swore that you would, without any mental reservation, without any purpose of evasion, support the Constitution of the respective states and the United States. And then I inform you as a citizen that my rights are being violated, that my son's rights are being violated, and that I'm being obstructed from having all of the freedoms that the Constitution gives. And you think that no one in the United States is actually going to enforce the laws.